George?
Hi everybody, welcome to the final Archaeology Daily Briefing for the excavations at the Alamo. We have had a really productive 4 weeks. It has been kind of exciting, sometimes a little hectic with the rain, but here we are on the last day. We're going to be filling in today, and I'm just going to go over kind of what we've done for the last 4 weeks. Remember that this is all in support of the master plan to reimagine the Alamo. So we are working for the Texas General Land Office, the Alamo Endowment, and the City of San Antonio. Those three partners have worked very hard to make sure we can keep going, that we've been out here every day, we've had the support we've needed. They've been fantastic. So if you all remember, some of you have followed us all the way through. For those of you who are just finding out that we've been out here, when we started, we were out here to answer 3 questions for the master plan team. And the first question was, do we know where the boundaries of the Alamo are? Do we know where the walls are? Are those walls in place? The second question was, can we find that original ground surface of the mission? Is it still out here? If so, how deep is it from where we're standing today? And then the third question they were looking at is how everything relates to the river. So we started July 20th. We got some construction contractors in here that we work with regularly. They removed the flagstone, documented everything, removed what we call the overburden. If you remember, the overburden is the material that's on top of the deposits that contain the archaeology. It's gravels, concrete, things like that. We started across the street at the west wall. We had, before we came out, we looked at all the previous work that had been done out here. And certainly there's been archaeology done at the Alamo, but not a comprehensive look to answer these kinds of questions. There were little efforts that were targeted on specific questions, or they were looking at different research interests, or they were just in response to utility installations and things like that. So we looked at where those had happened and moved our excavations to areas we thought we didn't know anything about, and started at the west wall. And we started on July 20th. Within the first week, we had already started uncovering cultural deposits. I'm going to wait for this bus to pass. And then we made an exciting discovery. We found some adobe bricks that were in place at the west wall. They are a pier of the adobe bricks, so just a square. We opened everything up, exposed it. Some of you may have seen pictures. We've got pictures up on the website of those adobe bricks. Wait for that. Jake Ivey, who did the excavations here in the 70s at the west wall, has agreed to be special advisor on this project. He came out, took a look, confirmed that what we were seeing was indeed part of that west wall complex. We think that the brick pier would have been part of the arcade, such as you see at the Long Barracks with the arches. We also found evidence of collapsed walls over at the west wall. We were getting what's called adobe melt. Adobe doesn't fare too well in the heat and humidity. For those of you who are out here today, you can kind of feel what we mean. It's mud, so it tends to kind of melt in the rain and run off. We found some of that melt along with bricks that were displaced that indicated the walls had collapsed. We also found artifacts such as ceramics, bone button blanks, household debris over on that side that showed we were in the rooms where Native Americans used to live along that west wall. We anticipate that further to the west, the actual wall may still be there as well. So we were very excited to find those intact deposits, and we preserved them in place. We didn't dig through them so that the master plan team can choose how to interpret that space. Then we moved over to the south wall, and you've got a lot of the people who are doing the heavy lifting behind me. We've had a great team of archaeologists out here from University of Texas San Antonio Center for Archaeological Research. We've had Rabba Kistner, archaeologists out here. They've done a great job as well, and then Paige Dawson. We've all worked together as a team on both locations. Rabba did a lot of the work here at the south wall, You probably recognize Christy Nichols behind me. She did a lot of the daily updates. Dr. Sean Marceau is also over here from Center for Archaeological Research. He did one of the updates. At the south wall, we uncovered pretty quickly, we realized we were deeper than at the west wall, and we uncovered some stone that is something architectural. We're not sure if it's a footer, if it's a remnant of the wall. In fact, Christy and Dr. Steve Tomka and I and Kay Hines, city archaeologist, who's to my left, are going to meet later today to really pour over some of those archival documents together in the previous work to kind of confirm what we're thinking. But it looks to be an architectural feature, possibly a footer to the south wall or the complex. We're in the right location for the gate. We've got some interesting configurations of stone that we're going to look at and see if we think we might be there. And one of the most exciting finds of the project came out of this area, which is the tip of Mexican non-commissioned officer sword. It was a briquette of French manufacture. It doesn't look like much until you start to really look at the shape and then start to compare it to what pictures of those briquettes look like. Sam Nesmith of the Texas Museum of Military History positively identified it for us. So we're very excited that we got something related to the battle. It could have been used in the battle, or it may predate the battle. So in summary, we kind of touched on all those topics that the master plan was looking for. We did find evidence that we do have intact deposits at the west wall complex. We do have deposits here at the south wall. We know that at the west wall, that living surface is only about 2 feet below where you're standing on the flagstones. Over here, we've got a little more work. It's deeper. We've got to find out if we really have that living surface or if we're below it into the footers. And that'll help us answer that question for the master plan team. And then they're going to look at how this all relates back to the river and pull in maps with the historic acequias. So for 4 weeks' work, we feel like we got a lot accomplished. We answered those questions. I will not lie, it's led to new questions. We've all got a bunch more things we're really interested in looking at. And so the master plan team will take that information, start to look at how they want to interpret things, and then they'll give us direction from there.
So are you pleased with the 4 weeks? Do you think it was a success?
I do think it was a success. We're all very excited that we found as much information as we did.
So, doing this for about a month, what do you feel like you've learned? What's the big takeaway from this? You found part of a wall, you found a piece of a sword, you found footers. What more have we learned about the Alamo?
What we've learned is we still do have some, despite all the development, the flagstones we're standing on, the street next to us, everything around us, we still have pockets of intact deposits that are associated with Native American occupants, with the original mission, with the battle. We've got all those periods represented, which is really important.
And how does that change the story of the Alamo?
It adds to the story of the Alamo. It gives it a richer complexity and depth, which every time we come out and we gather more information, we add a little more to the picture to get a better understanding overall.
So what will be the focus of the Chalk Talk you guys are going to be having over the next several weeks to analyze this stuff? What specifically will you be aiming at?
We're aiming at making sure the master plan's got all the answers to those questions, all the details they need to determine how they're going to interpret things moving forward and how that might affect their design.
And what are the questions you said you have now going forward?
Well, we really want to know what's going on at the south wall. It's led to a lot more questions on how do we tie this to the previous research and what's going on big picture. We've got slices that have been done before. We've got some more information now. Now, how can we tie back the past excavations and the present to get a more complete picture? And then what gaps do we have there?
How exciting is this for you guys? Look at people from all over the country are interested in this because they're looking at the Alamo and they're hearing that you're finding more to the Alamo. How cool is that for you guys?
This is the project of a lifetime. We are all really excited to be out here. It's not something I ever thought I'd get to do, so this is pretty much a dream come true.
So you kind of answered this a bit already, but you know, there's a lot of missing history to the Alamo. Does this fill in any chapters that we don't know yet?
You know, we're not through analyzing all the artifacts. We know we've got some stuff from the battle period. We know we have some stuff that predates that. We know we have 20th century artifacts as well, but we have to go back through, we're pretty painstaking when we document everything. And so we're letting Carissa Bassi, who's standing behind me, has been working with Sarah Wigley, who's also standing behind me, to analyze those artifacts and really get a sense of what time periods, what functions, and once they're complete, we'll have a better idea of that.
Considering both the fact that there was a bloody battle fought here and that the mission was a graveyard essentially, are you surprised you didn't find any human remains?
Human remains are always a possibility when we come out here, so we did have a a human remains protocol that we follow. If we find human remains, we know what to do. It's very specific about stopping work and being very respectful. So we always have that in the back of our mind, and we have a procedure to follow.
But you didn't find any?
We did not find any human remains that were identified as a part of a burial or anything like that.
Nessa, how many artifacts did you find out here?
We got a little over 1,700 artifacts. Carissa and Sarah, I asked them for a count this morning, and they are still working diligently to get them all cataloged in. They had a lot of, you guys got to see what we were doing out here, but they were in the meantime using toothbrushes and water to clean those artifacts off by hand, which sounds great until you've done it for 8 hours straight, and then it's kind of a little bit, you want a break. And then they're taking each individual artifact, classifying it according to what type of material is it. Is it a ceramic? Is it a piece of glass? Is it, a Native American lithic stone tool? Then they, can we tell what function it is? And then they're entering all that into a database, because then we take all that individual information with all our field paperwork and marry that back together to get our explanation and interpretation.
So those artifacts, y'all found pieces of pottery too. Do you know where those date back to?
We've got some stuff that was certainly Native American manufacture that may be historic age, or they may be prehistoric. We also have some chip stone artifacts that same thing. So we could have prehistoric, and it certainly goes from colonial forward.
And those 1,700 artifacts, are they mostly ceramics? I know you found that sword tip, you found a piece of the wall, debris of a wall. What were there any others besides those?
We found animal bone. It's cut. It's obvious that it's discarded from people consuming it or butchering. We found the stone tools that are just pieces. We're still analyzing those to see if we have any gun flints or anything like that. We've got 20th century materials. So we've got some nails, we've got some asbestos tile, some not as exciting stuff. But the ceramics were the bulk of what we found.
Well, thank you.
Anybody from your team that wants to talk about something that stood out to them? Or?
I'm going to step aside. I know that we've got several people out here who are doing different tasks. Christy led the field effort for RABA. Dr. Sean Marceau over here is the one who has been really overseeing the car crew and doing a lot of the mapping. And Carissa Bassi and Sarah Wigley are our lab directors. So you might have some specific question for them on their roles.
Who wants to be the first? Step up and tell us about your experience out here, what this meant to you to work on this project.
Don't be shy.
Go for it. Go, Sean, come on up. Can you give us your name?
Sean Marceau.
Okay, I think they want you in front of this thing. Yeah.
Sorry.
Can you spell your last name, Sean?
Yeah, Marceaux.
Can you spell your first name too?
SHAWN.
So how exciting was this? What are some of the
Incredibly
things you
exciting.
found?
Primarily involved in the excavations on the west wall, and so got to firsthand see the adobe bricks, part of the column, probably part of the arcade column. That to me was one of the most exciting things. My background is ceramics, so I enjoy the ceramics a lot as well, but this is the first time I've ever been part of excavations that excavated an adobe wall, much less the Alamo, which takes the excitement level up a notch.
What's it like to know that you're touching or you're finding things that are, hundreds and hundreds of thousands?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's humbling, and it's a real honor to be a part of a project like this that, again, we're reimagining the Alamo. You know, we're looking at it again in a new light, in a new age, and so to be a part of that process, it's humbling and very exciting.
Thank you so much,
You're
Sean.
welcome. Thank you.
Yes, Kay Hines, city archaeologist. On behalf of the city, I just want to thank all of the archaeological teams who worked here. They have done a superb job. To Nesta and her crew from Pate Dawson, to Sean and his crew from the Center for Archaeological Research out at UTSA, and to Steve Tomka and Christy with Brava Kistner and all of their teams, and everybody who has worked so hard. They have just done a fantastic job, and it was a little bit of an unusual type of, we said we brought together what we call the dream team of archaeologists to work on this project, and they truly have been that. And on behalf of the city and all the exciting work that is going on here, I just want to thank them for all their hard work.
As the city archaeologist, do you think that this stuff that's been found will change the city's history a bit?
Well, I think it certainly augments that history. It gives us some new information. So I think in that sense it's very exciting that we'll be able to augment the history and build up on previous and future studies.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Christy Miller-Nichols, and you guys have seen me on all of the, or not all of this, but a few of the briefings last week. And I just want to say my crew has done great. The Robert Kistner team has put up with a lot of things that, including the heat and the weather and all that, that have made this project a little bit more difficult than it could have been. But we have had a great time out here looking at the features that we've encountered. All the new questions to me are just as exciting as trying to answer the questions we were initially asked. So I'm hoping that that just leads to additional work in the future, that we can start chasing out some of these questions and help the master planning process a little bit as well.
What's your title?
I am the project archaeologist from the Robert Kistner team.
Will y'all say and spell your names?
Sure, I'm Carissa Bassey. It's Karissa, Bassey, B-A-S-S-E, and I'm the field lab director.
My name is Sarah Wigley, S-A-R-A-H-W-I-G-L-E-Y, and I'm with the Center for Archaeological Research.
Tell us about your role in this project and what was so special to you.
So we've been in charge of processing all the artifacts that have come out of the excavations and also keeping track of the paperwork. So we're kind of the pencil pushers of the project.
You were down in the air conditioning.
Yes, we've been down in the air conditioning of a basement.
So y'all are the ones who had to analyze those 1,700 pieces of everything that came in.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
that was us.
Yes, and we're still in the process of doing that today, actually.
So what do you use to determine, how old something is, or if it's prehistory, current history, or who made it?
There's certain observable characteristics of artifacts that you can look at that change over time, and we primarily use those.
Can you give us an example, one or two examples of something you look for?
For example, we had a piece of glass that had what's called a pontile mark, which is the result of hand blowing a glass bottle. So that would tell us that glass bottle was made with older techniques than, for example, a machine-made bottle that might be more modern. So things like that are what we look for when we're looking at the artifacts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guess I'm last. Mark Lusmore, M-A-R-K. Last name is L-U-Z-M-O-O-R. I'm a field technician with Robert Kistner. I've been out here a few days off and on. I've had some other projects to do while this project has been going on, but it's been very humbling, like Sean said, and it's a great opportunity for us. I mean, I've only been doing this for a while, but it's a great time. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for us. So, no problem.